Hey guys, I've got my Google Maps on, so please excuse that. Well, she's got a pleasant voice, but anyways, this is about CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a new thing out there, and look, I've been into psychology, and I don't have a degree in psychology, but I've been studying it and myself and my feelings for a long time. So I experienced the symptoms, but until I found someone who was well-educated in psychology and was able to identify this, because it's such a new thing, it's kind of nebulous, it's hard to, new in the psychological world, and pretty much a lot of standard professional psychologists aren't gonna give you a real solution to this problem, and you kind of have to find it from yourself. But there are some out there. One is Richard Granit's Spartan Life Coach. This is where I learned a lot of things about CPTSD from. Very helpful person. And a book by a man called Pete Walker. It's called CPTSD, From Surviving to Thriving. Yeah, that book helped me out a lot too. But really, it was also seeing, particularly for me, this is something, just a main thing I want to hit with CPTSD is your interpretations. Okay, they're gonna be off, and you probably are aware of it, and it probably frustrates the hell out of you. And I really understand. I really get it when you're dealing with people, and sometimes someone will be a genuine threat, and sometimes someone isn't. But they're also bringing out negative emotions in you. So your brain, it's so hard for your brain to get that part right. Your brain it's a functioning mechanism. It is, and it's reading the situation wrong. With CPTSD, unfortunately, you see certain things as much worse than they actually are, and when something actually is bad, you may not be able to tell. Okay? It's one of the hardest things, because if you've got CPTSD and you're already having a stressful day, your brain, if you're working with CPTSD, or if you're naturally trying to build yourself up, build your life, improve yourself, and heal, your brain is going in your subconscious, mostly. It's subconscious. There's a lot going on back there, and with CPTSD, it's so blurry. And so you stay in your conscious mind, you use your conscious mind for all it's got, and you use it like an engine, but it can't fix the problem. It's in your subconscious. So, you're going to, if you're having a stressful day, and you're doing everything you can, and alright, and the cards aren't in your favor if you got CPTSD when it comes to facing stress, facing life, dealing with life, even if you're willing to deal with it and put all your effort into it. It's so fucking hard. The cards are kind of against you the way the world works, and it doesn't make the world necessarily the evil place that you kind of think it is. It's weird, and the more you educate yourself, the better you're going to get at dealing with it. But if you're having a stressful day, and someone says the wrong thing to you, in the wrong tone, it can trigger you. And it can almost set your brain's neural pathways into going forward to going backwards. You have to be aware of that. Be aware of your habits, what you choose to do, and what you really need to make yourself do. Okay, don't be too hard on yourself, but be able to have some resolve, be able to have some courage, be able to have some resilience at the same time. And those are things that I would recommend checking out Richard Granit's Spartan Life, because I just want to say, as someone who has CPTSD, who has experienced these symptoms for so long, and I want to tell you, I am making progress, finally, after 10 years of dealing with my emotions, after 10 years of screaming my lungs out to deal with my anger. I've never hurt anyone, I've never committed any crimes, never abused anyone. But after 10 years of trying to heal myself using music, I'm a musician, I play all sorts of genres fluently, okay? I'm a super athlete, okay? I don't even do it to compete. I only do it to deal with my emotions. But all that shit gets frustrating when your life has to be dealing with that, constantly putting out that emotional fire. It's too fucking much. So one thing that really helps is learning to cry, learning to feel your emotions, learning to be vulnerable. Another thing that helps is establishing fucking boundaries, because with CPTSD, your ego boundaries are going to be porous, okay, and other people's psychic fields will be able to enter yours too much. And predators, not everyone's a predator, but the ones that are out there are going to be smelling for it, and they're going to be going after it, and they will go after you if you don't have boundaries. And in fact, that is going to make the world seem a lot worse than it actually is, because a healthy, strong person's subconscious would say, this person's sick, maybe they don't know what's going on, I should stay away from them. But if there's a magic, there's a finesse, okay? There's a way of interacting with people in the right way, and you can learn that. You have to know yourself really well. So I want to empathize, because I'm able to put this into words, and I'm able to explain it finally, because I've known this problem. I knew there was a problem. I knew what the symptoms were, but I didn't know CPTSD. I have kind of a label, and I'm also learning how the brain works, how psychology works, even more, how physiology is connected to psychology, and how certain human social interactions do have an effect on those things in you. And again, all of that comes down again to your interpretation of the situation. Is it a threat? Is it not? How is it a threat? Or is it just someone being an asshole? Just someone being obnoxious or silly even? You can misread all of that shit easily. When you're lost in stress, when you've lost your clarity, when you're not relaxed. That was a hard one for me with CPTSD, was to learn to relax in front of people. That was a fucking challenge, okay? And it's more subconscious than it is conscious, because consciously, you know, I can build a fucking castle if I want. I'm a strong person, okay? I ran a half marathon. I came in 44th out of 3,000. That's the conscious mind, but there's a lot more going on in the subconscious, which requires, you know, child trauma education. You can develop CPTSD in adulthood. I had adult trauma that really, I had CPTSD from childhood, but then I had some adult abuse from another parent. I had, which brought all of it out. So it's curable. You kind of have to use modern psychology and then educate yourself on it, understand how the brain works and how psychology works. Not just with music, because I tried it with music. I thought it would work. I was like, okay, this song is sad, I'm sad, I can feel it, I'm expressing it. But no, actually that song is someone else's expression of their emotions. And this is where the whole thing is self-validation with CPTSD. I cannot emphasize that enough. Where you learn to write your own song, you learn to create your own emotional expressions, and that is going to be the most effective technique for healing from CPTSD. There are so many, and you have to learn what works for you. But the biggest one for me, and this was after 10 years of playing the most vulnerable, sad songs. You know, I would play the song and I would try to feel sad. I would try to actually get in the sadness. And I would do it for 10 years. And I'm a master guitarist. Like, I can play a solo over my head. But even trying to emote in that way, it made little progress. But once life kind of became so painful, and I got really lucky. I found the right information at the right fucking time. Well, it could have come earlier, but it did come eventually. Once I learned about my perceptions and how they were valid, and how I felt as a child was valid, I highly recommend getting CPTSD by Pete Walker, because that book literally triggered me into a grieving phase where I was crying like every day. And this was someone who has never cried my whole fucking life. As a child, I wasn't encouraged to express that. As a teenager, as a young adult, I was not in a place where I would cry. You know, shit would happen to me and I wouldn't even cry. Like, my friend killed himself and I didn't cry. So, that really, once I was just crying every day, it's kind of something I haven't completely figured out yet, because that only happened 2 years ago. But yeah, that definitely gave me some traction as far as interacting with people, kind of getting a sense of what their intentions were and whether or not they were an actual threat. And it helped me to be easier on myself with feeling my emotions. So yeah, this was my video on CPTSD. I really hope it was helpful, and I'm pretty, yeah. So have a great day. Thank you.